the gravitas of their grief. I have grief, they say, and I should be able to share it. I am the grief. I am the cause. I bring the grief, and I am silenced because I sadden people. I must not talk about my life because it scares people. Think of your parents, they say. Think of what your birth did to them. Consider the impact on their marriage, their lives, their relationship. Having a child like you is hard. I think and think and think. I've been thinking about how hard I've made everyone's lives, and I feel guilty. I feel bad. I wish I was different, better, not the bringer of grief. Why don't you do more to help your parents? You know it's a burden to raise a child like you. Why don't you do more? Surely you can try harder. Can't you see the sadness in their eyes? Can't you see the angst you've caused? So I do more. I accept the beatings and the beltings as penance for the grief I bring. I hide my shame and come to realize I am not worthy of being parented. I try so hard to stop being a burden, but it is my nature. I am the grief. Don't talk of your sadness. They remind me you make us feel bad. I tried to raise you, but you were hard to raise. You wrecked my life, and no one sees my sacrifices for you. No one listens to my story. My life is harder now with you. I have to work around you so you don't talk to me about stress and pain. You don't know what that is. I am stress. I am unworthy. I shouldn't be alive. I have hurt my family. I have damaged them. I hear this. Their voices, these apparent silent voices, have been absorbed into my psyche, and it's all I hear. I am the grief. Let me speak, they say. I know this life. I birthed this life. I lived this life. But know that my experience isn't what they want to hear. Birthing the life is harder than living the life. You ruined this family, they said. The poisonous tirade dragged me to a psychologist who was tasked with making me realize I needed to be different, better, and try harder at not being who I was. Try harder and not foul up their lives so much. The little voice, tiny at first, said, no, I am worthy. But the louder one reminded me, I was the grief. You should be grateful for your husband, they said. How does she pleasure her husband? They scoffed. What does she offer her husband? They wrote. I have tricked him into marrying me, I realized. If he knew me, truly knew me like they all did, he wouldn't have married me. I kept my silence. We never thought you could get pregnant, they said. What if it turns out like you? I don't know, I said. I don't want to birth the grief, but the little voice inside my head reminded me that I was more than grief. Still I worried. A body as sullied as mine could only bring grief. Don't speak of your grief. Ours is worse. Ours needs more support. Mine is worse, I think. How much worse can it get to hear, every day, that you are not loved? We didn't mean that, they said. You've taken it too personally and twisted what we meant. Our life is hard, and we have no forum with which to voice it. We need to be allowed to speak from the rooftops. Stop speaking of your life. Stop trying to make us look bad. Stop bringing this new type of grief. I am not grief, I think, but their voice reverberates in my head. You bring the grief, and we haven't been able to tell anyone.